Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Cicilline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to today's witnesses for your testimony and for your written testimony as well, which I've studied very carefully. Russia's illegal and unwarranted brutal invasion of Ukraine marks the largest land war in Europe since World War II and the biggest threat to democracy since the Cold War. Vladimir Putin thought he could divide the West, but he was sorely wrong. And now today, more than a year since the invasion began, the West remains united in our commitment to Ukraine's democracy and territorial sovereignty. President Biden and his administration restored America's standing on the world stage and helped unite NATO and the West to provide Ukraine with the help they needed to protect their country and stand up to authoritarianism. Over the last year, the United States and our allies have provided military, economic, and humanitarian assistance to our Ukrainian allies in their fight for freedom. Military assistance has given brave Ukrainians on battlefields across their country the tools needed to fight back Russian forces. Economic or direct budget assistance has been deployed through the World Bank to help pay the salaries of healthcare workers, teachers, and pensioners, allowing the Ukrainian government to focus on providing basic services to its citizens and winning the war. And humanitarian assistance has been critical in delivering safe drinking water, emergency food, generators, and medical equipment to vulnerable Ukrainians across their country. These different sources of funding represent the comprehensive approach that the Biden administration is taking to ensure that Ukrainian families have access to basic services while their loved ones risk their lives in defense of their country. Throughout our nation's history, we've learned a lot from U.S. involvement in conflicts abroad about the importance of having robust oversight of foreign assistance, ensuring that dollars are being used for the prescribed purposes. The Biden administration and the Ukrainian government understand the need for trust and accountability just as much as we do. It's important to note that for Ukrainians, the very existence of their country and identity is at stake. So they have a vested interest in rooting out corruption and any person who would jeopardize further foreign assistance. That is why, since the beginning of this conflict, both the Biden administration and the Ukrainian government have emphasized the need to prioritize accountability by creating layers of oversight. For example, USAID currently provides direct budget support through the World Bank within the Public Expenditures for Administrative Capacity Endurance, or the PEACE program. That program only allows for funds to be sent to projects within a pre-approved expenditure category that have been verified as an actual expenditure. These funds can only be sent on reimbursement, meaning that none of this funding can be spent discretionarily. The PEACE program has additional auditing and reporting requirements built into it, which serves as additional accountability mechanisms. In addition, USAID has recruited the firm Deloitte, an independent third party, to oversee the use of funds by the Ukrainian government. The Government Accountability's Office Center for Audit Excellence has created a new partnership with the Ukrainian government to strengthen the ability of Ukraine's own auditing institutions. And today, Inspectors General of the State Department, Department of Defense, and USAID have shared the work they are carrying out every day to oversee their respective departments and agencies to ensure both transparency and accountability. The Biden administration and the Ukrainians know just how important it is to build trust, to show the American taxpayers where their dollars are going. That's why they've taken extraordinary steps to build upon existing mechanisms and to create new ones to establish even more transparency and accountability. Our work to support Ukraine here in Congress has been largely bipartisan because we, especially those on this committee, understand what is at stake if Vladimir Putin is successful in this war. And it is my hope that we can continue to support the people of Ukraine in the same way as they fight for their freedom. And I really want to use my time to thank the witnesses for the work that they are doing and leading this effort to establish without question the prudent, effective, and proper use of American funding for this effort to protect democracy. And I'll just ask Ms. Andrella if you would just maybe briefly describe in the time that's left why this reimbursable model is so effective in ensuring proper oversight of funding in the war context.
Sure. Thank you for your question. I'll start by saying, as the IG, we didn't have a role in determining the mechanism or setting any policy for how it would be done. From a subject matter sort of expertise level, the reimbursement mechanism, as you so accurately described, is on eligible expenditures. And so what that allows our office to do is to review the reports and to assess from an independent standpoint whether the expenditures were eligible. So that mechanism that was chosen by the decision makers gives us the flexibility to look at specific expenditures as opposed to just dollars going into a general account.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for all of your work, the three of you. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields